Welcome to Sunday Money. Here we go again. There's a rush in NASCAR to get all the children into racing. It is Kevin Harvick's child versus Kyle Busch's, and they cannot post about it fast enough. We're going to talk about it on this edition of Sunday Money. Brought to you by
O'Reilly Auto Parts and Hercules Tire.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. That and the Ford Bronco took over the internet yesterday. Will our Ford driver, Corey LaJoie, be getting a Ford Bronco? We'll find out. Let's begin.
Later in the show. Well, I'm glad you brought that. What do you think about the Bronco, first off, Daryl?
I think it looks like a Land Rover had a baby with a Toyota. It just looks like every off-road SUV.
I think it looks like, yes, like you said, like a Land Rover had a baby with a Toyota FJ Cruiser back in the day, and then an offspring. We actually
Daryl used to have an FJ Cruiser.
I had two FJ Cruisers. I bought two in a row, Corey.
You look like an FJ Cruiser guy.
And now I got a 4Runner off-road.
So does that mean you're gonna get a Bronco then?
I really like the old Broncos. I like the old CJs. I like all those like trucks, but those trucks were big and bad, and they were for climbing over logs. I hope that Ford does that with this vehicle, but I don't know. It just looks really it looks very trendy and awesome, but I think there's like regulations that they're not allowed to make them as crazy. So then you have to do everything aftermarket anyway, but the Toyota suspensions on the 4Runners and the FJs are still made for off-roading. Like right off the lot, you can do some pretty gnarly stuff with them. So I hope Ford does that. Do you think they will?
So I was reading some stuff on it. It seems like it's independent front and rear suspension, which isn't probably great for off-road and stuff. Right. I think, like you says, I don't think they're allowed to do certain things because it's built in 2020. So when we went, they took all the drivers to Henry Ford's house in the Dearborn plant where they were actually making like the prototype Broncos. So they had two of them done. This was last year. And they had like this big, think about it, this big block of clay, just a block of styrofoam wrapped with clay. And they had literally would essentially be like a CNC machine, and they could plug in what they drew the Bronco to look like, and that machine would machine out the look of Bronco, and it was really cool. We were sworn to secrecy, no pictures, none of that, and the actual Bronco that they thought that they were, what they said, like this is the finished piece, from what they unveiled is different. So I personally like the one they just announced, or the one they just opened up. It looks a little bit meaner than the one that they showed us last year. So that was cool that Ford did that. And I do think that it lends itself to like looking pretty sweet if you put some wheels and tires, and you can kind of accessorize it. No different than a Jeep, right? A stock Jeep Wrangler doesn't look the coolest, but you can make a Jeep Wrangler look as cool as you want to with some bumpers and some cool stuff. So I don't know if I'll get one. If they give me one, which they haven't given me anything for 2 years for driving a Ford, so I'm not holding my breath for a Bronco. But if I get the opportunity to request a Ford vehicle, I probably would get that over F-150, just because it's new and it's kind of cool.
The two-door one's good looking. I like the two-door one.
The two-door ones are kind of like short and stubby, and you could like jump those off a berm or something and land it on all four tires and then just kind of like bounces back and forth like a little weeble wobble and continues on going.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Would you drive one, Lauren? Would Andrew drive a Ford Bronco?
I don't know. Probably. I think he wanted something like that, but I didn't. I wasn't game.
Instead, he got a Lincoln.
He got a Lincoln, a grandpa car.
Yeah, but nice. Lauren, tell Corey the shoes that you got Andrew for Father's Day.
Yeah, Andrew's pretty cool. I got him some Yeezys.
Did you? What color Yeezys? Yeah.
I don't know. Daryl knows more about them than I do. I just looked on the internet.
Oh, sorry to our listeners. We got off topic. Back to racing. Sorry, guys. I don't want to get an influx of complaints because we're not talking about dirt racing right now. I'm sorry. God, we almost got off track. God.
We talk about dirt racing. We actually don't talk about dirt racing a lot. So don't give our listeners fake facts, Daryl.
Sometimes we do.
Yeah, we do. I mean,
We've talked about them filling. They talked about filling Bristol with dirt. We've talked about that. That would have been pretty crazy. But this IROC series is a big story right now, and it's an important story because Corey and I have been talking about bringing IROC back, and somebody beat us to it. We've been talking about it for 10 years, Corey. I feel like we've been saying, if only they could just have a car that was truly a stock car, and we could just see what people could do behind the wheel. Boy, that would be something. And then Corey goes, well, yeah, that would be the IROC series. They already did that. And then I go, well, let's bring it back. Not enough interest in it. But guess what? Mr. Uncle Stewart thinks that there is. And so
well, if there's two guys that could push it along and have the platform and dollars to make it happen, it's Ray Evernham and Tony Stewart, right? And they've got a management company. I don't know, Sandy something from New York City. I don't know. They're all partnered up. There's 4 people on this board, and they're raising money.
New York City.
So what do they call it? Superstar Racing Experience, I think they're calling it.
Gotta say, don't love the name, Corey.
Don't love the name. Don't love the name. I'm with you on that. I mean, because if you call it Superstar Racing Experience, you better have some superstars driving them and crew chiefing them. So I guess the premise is they're going to Ray Evernham. He's got that shop in Mooresville. He's got a bunch of guys working. They're building hot rods and a bunch of cool stuff. They're going to build a version of a stock car, probably something like a late model stock with whatever package engine they could put in it, a cool body, but something that can go from asphalt oval track to a dirt oval, whether it be Eldora or fill in the blank, and a road course. And they're going to run, I think, 6 races, and they're going to have 6 drivers and 12 drivers and 12 crew chiefs. And they're going to, if I'm driving it and Daryl's crew chiefing, I don't know that Daryl's going to be crew chiefing for me until I get to the racetrack and they draw or however they're going to do it to pair me with a particular crew chief. So I think that's pretty neat. And I think it's got the opportunity to work. It's got a TV deal already, which is the top of the priority list that you have to have if you want to drum up some excitement for any sort of racing anymore. So it's going to be – now, I don't know. It might be talk right now because how many deals have been announced like this and never came to fruition. But if they have an inked TV deal and Tony's behind the wheel, I mean, I think it could be something pretty big. Is it going to be NASCAR? Probably not. But I think it's funny that Tony Stewart spent his whole career at button heads with NASCAR. And then when he gets out of NASCAR, he figures out a way to continue to butt heads with NASCAR and starts his own racing series and has a TV deal. So I don't know. It'd be pretty crazy. If you had to pick, Lauren and Daryl, if you had to pick, let's just say, how about this? There's 12 drivers. I'll pick 3. Daryl picks 3, and you pick 3, and Alexa picks her 3, and then that's our lineup for the Superstar Driving Racing Experience.
Okay, I'll play.
Let me start. All right.
No, let Lauren start. Let Lauren start so she can pick some of the good ones.
I need time to remember race car driving names.
Ladies first. So Alexa, kick us off.
There you go.
Because we got to pick the leftovers too, Corey.
Yeah.
Are we doing just active drivers?
No.
Nope. Open.
But it's alive.
They just have to be alive.
Yeah.
And this is all like NASCAR drivers, correct? Because I don't know dirt drivers.
Alexa, you're thinking about this way too much.
Okay.
Just pick superstars to race in the series.
Okay, I'm going to go with Kyle Busch.
Hang on, timeout.
Okay.
Now I'm thinking too much.
He's adding rules.
Anyone in the world.
This is going to be separate because if the Cup Series races every weekend, they're not going to allow current Cup drivers to race.
Sure.
So not active Cup drivers.
They might be able to make some midweek shows to allow Kyle Busch or fill in the blank, Jimmy Johnson.
They
That's
should
a
let
good
the
one.
guys race if they were smart.
So how about no active Cup drivers? And then now you can pick.
Okay. I'm going to do Greg Biffle,
Mm-hmm.
Matt Kenseth, he's not active all the time. And I'm going to say Carl Edwards.
Good call.
All right. I like that.
True.
You just went straight up Roush in 2008 lineup, so that wasn't very original, but go ahead, Lauren.
Well, I'm going to go Kyle Larson.
Yeah,
Because he doesn't have anything going on this year.
that's low-hanging fruit, but okay.
I say Mark Martin.
That was going to be on mine. Thank you for stealing it. Great choice.
And then I'll go, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a dirt guy. I don't know.
You probably don't know the name of one Dirt Series driver.
I do, but I just can't think of any.
You guys shot a whole documentary on dirt drivers.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and Brad Sweet. I'll pick Brad Sweet.
Nice.
Great pick.
Yeah. Okay, Daryl.
Juan Pablo Montoya.
Oh, good one.
Let's bring him back because it could be anybody in the world, right?
Right.
Okay. Juan Pablo Montoya. Are these drivers that aren't racing next year? Yeah, right. That are available.
Not
Corey
necessarily.
LaJoy. Corey LaJoy. Yep. Corey
No,
LaJoy, Juan Pablo Montoya, and Danica Patrick.
It's not called mediocre racing experience. It's called superstar races. I don't make the cut. Danica, you got to pick.
Danica does though, right? Like she could race.
Oh, she's busy standing on her head.
We've lost Corey. Very cool. And Corey LaJoy is back. Twice. Corey, you're back twice.
Okay, Corey's turn to pick.
You got me now? I hate technology.
So what
Here.
Corey, what keeps happening to your internet?
Well, the wife's Peloton, and so I think my Wi-Fi signal is as strong as about, like two tin cans with a string in between it. Like that's how my Wi-Fi runs. And so if she's Peloton and she's eating up all my Wi-Fi for our Zoom call. So
Corey, where do you live? Like what area? You're not far from me, right?
Cornelius.
Do they have AT&T over there?
I don't know. Yes, that's what I have.
I just got AT&T TV, the digital TV.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty great.
Is it? That's good.
Yeah, and they have 1,000 internet 1,000.
I bet if I added up the amount of money I spend per month on all the streaming services and DirecTV, I'd probably spend over $1,000 a month and watch hardly no TV.
So I picked Danica Patrick,
right.
Juan Pablo Montoya, and Corey LaJoy, assuming he's a free agent next year and wants to be a champion.
Well, I'm always a free agent, in a way.
Well, I didn't pick you to drive, my friend. I picked you to crew chief.
Okay. I could dust off the old notebook. I'm good with that.
Yeah, I think you'd be a good crew chief. That would be amazing for you. And if they allow that to happen, Corey, that's a great loophole for you. You go to Mr. O'Donnell and you say, listen, I don't want to drive. I get it. I'm an NASCAR driver. I have to drive an R Series. Can I crew chief over there, though, for 6 races?
That's a good question to ask. Could be a story.
Yep.
All right. So we've got a decent lineup here, drivers so far. I'm going to pick, with my first pick, I would pick Bubba Pollard. He is a short track. They call him Redneck Jesus. He's one of the biggest super late model drivers. Literally, he's a big guy. He probably weighs 285, 300 pounds. He's a big guy, but he's like figuratively big in the short track world. Bubba Pollard will bring some fans. I would probably pick a guy like Josh Berry. I'm going to go full-blown short track here. Josh Berry's a late model stock guy. He drives for Junior Motorsports. And then nobody grab Jimmy Johnson? Like
We were giving him a break.
Johnson? No, he doesn't. He doesn't need a break.
If you can figure out a way to get him out of Aspen next year to do anything but mountain bike, you let me know.
Well, that's true. And if it doesn't involve an F1 car, an Indy car, he probably is not going to want to mess with it. But I think Tony could probably phone a friend and be like, "Hey, Jimmy, I got 6 races for you. I'll give you a couple bucks a race." He probably doesn't even need the money anyways, obviously. But that's who I'm going with: Jimmy Johnson, Bubba Pollard, and Josh Berry. So we've got it covered from retired Cup drivers all the way down to late model stock drivers, and even a sprint car driver in there. So being that Daryl only chose 2 drivers and he picked me to be a crew chief, I get to pick a 4th.
What?
So, yep, I'm going to pick a 4th because we only had 11 drivers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with a dirt late model guy, Jonathan Davenport. Probably you guys have never heard of him. He's badass. So we gotta cover that side of it as well. So Jonathan Davenport will be holding it down for the dirt late model guys, and I think that'd be a hell of a lineup. And every demographic of race fan will be tuning in to watch it. I think it can be really cool. So let's hope it works out.
Is it the same drivers every single week, or could it be a different, like a group of drivers at each race?
I believe it's a series. So they're gonna go from road courses to asphalt tracks to dirt tracks.
Okay.
And there's no pit stops, Lauren. There's just like one timeout kind of deal.
Yeah. We call those hot
I
dogs.
read that there was going to be they were going to be 2-hour races, and I was sold.
No, 2-hour complete TV blocks. So they're going to have
even better.
Races. Yeah. They're going to have heat races. Then they're going to have a feature, which is probably only, I don't know, whatever you can fit into a 2-hour block with a 50-lap heat race and a 100-lap race is probably what it's going to be.
Okay. I like it.
So everybody stay tuned to the Superstar Racing experience. Should be pretty cool.
What tracks would they run at?
Hypothetically, well, Tony owns Eldora, so you can already Sharpie that one in. I would say that they might have one large track, when I say large, over a mile. I don't know what that would be. I wouldn't imagine it'd be a NASCAR track because I don't think they're going to play ball with them. I'm looking at I would look at a short track such as Pensacola as a small asphalt track. They could go to Knoxville, another dirt track. They could go. There's plenty of road courses around that would put on a cool show. They could even maybe go to a street course. They can probably work with a city and do a cool street course in.
Go to Long Beach.
Go to Long Beach for the Indy cars. I don't know how good of a rapport that Tony and Roger Penske have, but he might be able to do, piggyback off an IndyCar street race or something. There's with Tony and Ray behind it, man, there's really no telling what there, and there's way less strings attached. So that series is going to be way more mobile, just to make some excitement as opposed to, NASCAR has a lot of stuff that makes it not very mobile, even though they've been very mobile throughout the quarantine stuff. Out of necessity, I think that when you're starting a brand new series from the dirt, it could be, it's a blank canvas. So I think it'd be really cool to watch.
So my question for you, Corey, is that if, we're seeing this happen right now, no disrespect to NASCAR. We love NASCAR. But when you see Kyle Larson go on an absolute terror since he left the sport and win everything he's driving, if Jimmy were to go out next year and win every race in this Superstar Series, what does that say for our sport as far as the difficulty of a talented driver like a Kyle Larson or Jimmy Johnson that can't get it done with the current setups?
Do you want my real answer or my
the one that's not going to get you in trouble?
Oh yeah, we're not supposed to get you in trouble starting now.
I mean, I think that just goes to show the discrepancy in cars, and people can say I keep hammering about this topic because it's a dead horse. It's not. I mean, when Gibbs wins more than half the races last year and Jimmy Johnson doesn't win one and he's won 4 times and 7 championships. Jimmy didn't forget how to drive. Just Toyota hit on something and Gibbs hit on something, and they continue to hit on something. You know, and Stewart Haas builds good cars as well. Like, you see that. We can talk about Kentucky here in a little bit, but a good race car driver, a great race car driver in Jimmy Johnson can't make a 15th place race car go win. Just can't. He can't. Sometimes he's having a hard time running 5th without Brad Keselowski dumping him on a restart. But I just think that the drivers in the Cup Series can drive whatever car they're sitting in to its maximum potential. And if Jimmy's car isn't as fast as the 19 or the 4, then he physically can't muscle his car to go any faster than it's capable of going. So I think that's, you know, the competition and the engineering and the NASCAR side doesn't lend the opportunity for a driver to make up as much behind the wheel as it used to, just because it's just caught up to the times. So when you see a guy like Kyle Larson, I think he's only lost like 3 races since he's got kicked out of the sport. I think he literally has only lost maybe less than you can count on one hand. I think he's won like 15 times and only lost 4. So I think he's applying a lot of the lessons he's learned, because there is a lot of similarities between what you learn as a Cup driver to apply into short track or a dirt late model or a sprint car. And he just is applying everything he's learned against the guys he's racing with. And he's just making the guys that he's racing with look like amateurs, because at the end of the day, a lot of those guys are amateurs. They're not professionals. They don't get paid to race by the car owner. So when an elite guy like Kyle Larson shows up with arguably the best car, it's almost like Kyle Busch at a truck race. When the best driver is working with the best people and driving the best car, odds are he's going to win. And that's what we're seeing. I don't know if that answered your question or not, but I mean, Kyle Larson is the only guy that's going to get kicked out of the sport and think his career's over and come back making more money than he was going to before he left. It's going to be the craziest thing ever. They're going to make a 30 for 30 on it.
Well, we'll take a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll talk about Corey LaJoie's baby son and his new Instagram. I got another confession to make.
Yeah, what you got?
No, I'm just kidding. That's a line from Foo Fighters.
Oh.
Yeah, someone called you the Fat Dave Grohl.
Someone called me the Fat Dave Grohl, Corey. First of all,
somebody called you that?
Yeah, people
There's
online.
Nothing.
People online are so mean. First of all, that's a good compliment for a lot of reasons. Dave Grohl is a legend.
Looking at it, that is the most accurate thing I've ever heard in my life.
What are you talking about?
I have tears in my eyes.
You are the thick David Grohl. Daryl Grohl. Now,
Daryl Grohl? Not a nice thing to say to people.
I can't unsee that now.
But that's not a nice thing to say.
No.
Yes, it is. David Grohl's a great singer.
Yeah, David Grohl's a legend. And he's pretty cool.
So take it as a compliment. I wouldn't call you fat. I'd call you thick. Big bone.
I'm just corn-fed.
You are from where? Iowa or wherever? Wisconsin?
I guess. Listen, who has time to be anonymous online and say mean things to people? If that's my day, if I ever am online being like,
You're unemployed.
Yeah, but why would I
You
spend my free time?
do that.
Like, just go online and say mean things to people?
Yeah.
Well,
You went to
I mean, if you say stuff like, if you call people the most accurate analogies of all time, that's actually valid.
Dave Grohl is a rock star. So you're basically calling me a rock star that needs to get on the Peloton.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's fine, right? You're David Grohl with the Quarantine 15. No big deal.
But I'm not. And actually, I took my resting heart rate yesterday, Corey. I think you'll be impressed.
What is it?
What do you think?
65.
52.
47.
That's pretty good.
Pretty crazy, right?
Mine's 172.
Holy shit. No. Did you ever take it?
I have no idea.
Well, I started checking in the morning, when you're like just laying there, like mostly like half half alive.
Yeah.
I checked it in the morning. It's 47. I was like, oh.
That's lower than mine.
I mean, I'm almost dead.
This
Yes.
whoop, no, that's good. This whoop strap will tell you what it is, like every day.
And I could be skinny. See, I just need to change the angle.
Yeah, there you go.
Look,
Much better.
now I'm just like 10 pounds, Dave Grohl.
You just put a filter on it, like everything else.
No, but guys, there's a lot of stuff going on. So just, stop being mean. We try to support Reddit. They've been saying mean things about Lauren and I, Corey, and they always get on you, but you're a superstar. You can handle it. We're just regular people. Look she's got a baby in her arms in the kitchen. Stop being cyber bullies.
I'll tell you, I've been off Twitter for like 2 weeks now, and it's been amazing. I miss Twitter and the fact that I get all the information and like stuff that I'm not screenshotting you guys back and forth because people say ridiculous things, but I don't really miss it. I miss the fan interaction, but with all the hate and just negative energy going on there right now, it's great to be off of it. So
I didn't think about it like that. Somebody just called me Fat Dave Grohl, but you've been getting hammered for like 2 weeks straight.
Oh, if somebody called me a Fat Dave Grohl or just a dumb Ashton Kutcher, I would consider that a compliment for much stuff that I've been called the last 2 weeks.
You're just a skinny John C. Reilly.
I don't know what that means. I'm not a political talker.
John C. Reilly's from Talladega Nights.
Oh, yeah. I'm not that guy. I don't have
just
nice hair.
You're just an anorexic John C. Reilly, Corey.
Think so?
No. I watched Step Brothers the other day, and it does sound a lot like you. We should have you read lines from his movies every week.
All right. Maybe we can do a bit with that at the end of every show.
No, but anyway, listen, there's enough negative in the world. So be nice to Corey on Twitter. Give us a break, Reddit. We're trying to support you guys. And I don't know what they want, Corey. I think they really just want your Sirius XM show. They want you just like rambling on about racing for 2 hours, which is great because you can tune into Sirius XM and listen to them do it. That's not what we're doing here. We're just friends trying to survive the pandemic together.
Well, and that's true. And that's also sometimes what gets me in trouble because I think that it's just like us four talking about like life. And I let my guard down and say stuff that I probably wouldn't. But that's also what makes it good. So we don't have to talk about racing the whole time for an hour show, even though that's pretty much all that I know about and all that I care about and all I like talking about. But I know that that's not what generally everybody else likes to listen to. I was going to say something else.
You were going to say that you just like the whole idea was just to get people to get to know you better. That's really the whole idea. That's all this was about. Yeah.
And now people expect a certain thing. It's literally just 3-4 friends just BSing about stuff. And now we have contractual obligations we have to adhere to. It's not just 4 people talking on Zoom. It's like real life important stuff.
The one Lauren and I get a lot is those two don't even care about racing. They don't even like racing. Why are they even working in NASCAR? And then that one's kind of funny because for how long we've known you and worked in racing, I don't know. It's like people think you have to be like a super fan and really passionate about something to work in it. We're passionate about Corey. That's what we're passionate about.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lauren will tell him. You don't want Lauren and I describing camber, right, Lauren?
That's right.
That's why you have me for.
We got a damn crew chief on our show. We don't need to know about that.
I know it.
But you also see that a lot in motorsports, Corey, right? Where there's like people that like have racing experience that they always want to tell you that they've raced before. I'm talking about like personalities and reporters and stuff. They're like, well, I know race cars. But like to somebody like you, they might have run a couple dirt races here or there, but they don't know racing like you know racing, right?
Well, that doesn't make them any worse or more. I mean, you can still have an educated conversation with somebody and they don't know what a truck arm is or what a pinion shim is, right? Like that doesn't make a difference. If the part that I like so much about this show is it allows like me to just explain to the listeners the elements of the sport that the broadcast can't cover because they have to cover the broad stories. They have to cover the show. And even so much as like, Race Hub does a good job of covering those like intricate stories. But when it comes down to guys 20th or below, we don't get a whole lot of attention. So there are a lot of storylines that happen back there, guys racing hard and stuff like that. So that's what I like to be able to do.
Did you watch the race back? Did you watch Kentucky back?
No, I did not. I've watched all the highlights and stuff, and watched Cole Custer go earn that thing, which was really cool. There was, I think for the, 267 laps for the first 263 laps, the race was a snooze fest, and then luckily we got a caution with 8 to go and ended up being a good finish. There was a lot of complaints in the old group chat about the tires and about the PJ1 and about the package overall, right? I think we heard on some it's going to come out on Radioactive, I'm sure, later today. Matt Kenseth says on the radio, I can't believe they raced this package for a year and then they chose to do it again, right? So that's somebody that's raced pretty much every package that NASCAR's had, and now he's like, well, what are they doing? So I think a lot of drivers share the same disdain for what we're racing against, but at the end of the day, it's not up to the drivers on what makes the show the best. I don't think that NASCAR should hear our opinions, but at the end of the day, that shouldn't be the driver's opinion. Shouldn't be what makes it go one way or the other. I think it was cool that the NASCAR listened to the drivers. For example, the choose cone rule for the All-Star Race, that's going to be pretty cool to witness for the first time in the Cup Series. They listen to them a little bit on that, but when it comes to what they think provides the best racing, NASCAR has to stick to their guns and put what's best out there. But there's this, the tires were a big thing this weekend. We heard guys in the Truck Series complain about it, guys in the Xfinity Series complain about it. I don't know what it was about this particular tire. After like 15 or 20 laps, it felt like you were having a loose wheel. Like the tires would literally shake your teeth out. And I don't know if that's a combination of NASCAR or Goodyear taking just stiffer, harder sidewall tires. Then they kind of either that some belts slip inside of them and they get out of balance. But it was not a fun time. After about 15, 20 laps, the tires just make heat and then they just don't grip anymore. And they just chatter your teeth out. And we heard pretty much the entire field complain about tire vibrations. Hopefully Goodyear can fix that and not have that issue again, because at the end of the day, the only thing that touches the ground between a race car and the racetrack are the tires. So Goodyear has as much of an input on what the package is and how the race is going to be as anybody. And I'm not sure if everybody's on the same page right now.
You're flying to these races now, right? Some of them, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Any of them that's not driving distance. Bristol's considered driving distance. That's 3 hours. So we'll drive to the All-Star Race tomorrow.
Who's on the airplane with you this year? Like, who have you been sitting with?
So so it's a charter plane, Victory it's called. And we usually fly up with the Penske pit crews, and then we fly back Penske pit crews as well as our team. So there's like 55 people on a plane, and they make you wear your mask the whole time.
But there's other drivers too, right?
Yeah, Brendan Poole was on. Him and I sat next to each other coming back from wherever we were, Kentucky. But most of the drivers are flying by themselves. I heard Roush even went so far as to they're flying Ryan Newman up on Jack Roush's plane by himself. And then they also fly at the same time Chris Buescher up on Doug Yates' plane by himself. So they're doing all they can to keep their drivers isolated with all this Rona floating in the air. They don't want to be the next Jimmy Johnson story. It's weird times, man. Weird stuff.
Jimmy Johnson, man. He beat it in 2 days. Hardcore.
Well, and I don't know how much time we got. I know we're on a little bit tight schedule today, but not many people have the resources that Jimmy Johnson has to test as frequently as he did. Like, he was testing very frequently to tell the exact day he tested negative, and then he had 24 hours to test negative again. If somebody like myself who doesn't have the connections as Jimmy does, it goes by CDC regulations to where if I test positive, knock on wood I don't, I go 14 days and I might be 1 or 2 days still positive, but if I test positive again in 14 days, it resets the clock for another 14 days, where I don't have the opportunity to test every single day. So I'm just hoping and praying that I can stay safe and away from people that get it, because I can't afford to come down with it, as a lot of people can't. You know, even Jimmy would consider he probably couldn't afford to sit out another week as well. So I'm glad he came back. Brad made sure to end his day. He was in a decent spot. But we haven't even talked about Cole Custer winning. I mean,
well, should we
the
pick
freaking guy's a rookie.
Should we pick him as our clutch performer of the week?
Yeah, I know we got to give him some credit, but we're about to wrap the show up. I feel bad we hadn't given love to Cole Custer.
He kind of squeaked in there.
He earned it. There was about 7 other guys in that position that didn't put himself in position to win like Cole did. So I don't know. If looking at it, I think that puts the pressure on guys like Will Byron, guys like Christopher Bell even, because Cole Custer wins in his 19th start. They keep saying, well, you got to trust the process with Will Byron. Trust the process. Trust the process. He's 3 years in the Cup Series now, almost 100 races in Hendrick equipment.
With the great crew chief.
With 7-time champion crew chief Chad Canals. I think the old propane burner got cranked up a couple numbers, because obviously you got to put yourself – experience is worth one thing, but you have to put yourself in position to whether or not you get lucky. Some people might think Cole got lucky. He was in a position to capitalize on those guys racing hard. So I don't know. I mean, I think that I think it cranked the propane up on guys like Eric Jones too. He's a free agent. He's trying to get re-signed. But when you get guys like Cole Custer coming in and are winning races,
winning a race.
He won a race. Making crumbs compared to what a lot of these guys are asking for or trying to negotiate for next year and the years to come. You got guys who can put themselves in position and win for a 20th of what some other guys within their same team are making. So, I think the free agency market for those big guys making sometimes 8 figures, it did not help their negotiating leverage when a guy like Cole Custer pops off a win. So that's a whole nother element.
So he is our clutch performer?
Hell yeah, Cole Custer's a clutch performer.
The clutch performer of the week is brought to you by Clutch Coffee Bar in Mooresville, North Carolina. You can order Clutch coffee beans online and have them shipped directly to you. Go to clutchcoffeebar.com. There was a fight.
Yeah. So talking about Noah Gragson?
Yeah.
There was a fight. And Noah Gragson has been in a couple tussles the last couple of weeks. Him and Myatt Snyder, where we raced a couple weeks ago. And then turn around and him and old Harry got into it. So I don't know. I think Noah Gragson's just maybe just wants to get in a fight with somebody. Not sure.
He threw a haymaker.
Hey, I'll tell you, that thing had some mustard on it. If that thing would have connected, Harry would have felt it. He would have. So I was a little impressed by Noah's right. I'll be honest with you. So, hey, let it be known to
Harrison Harry.
He's got it. He's got it on his helmet. It literally says Harry across the top. So
it's just so funny.
If he's embracing it, we're calling him Harry because Harry's way cool. Is a really cool name, like Harry Gant, Harry Burton.
Harry Burton. Harry Burton had a haymaker thrown at him.
He kind of dodged it, but I mean, if I'm telling you, if that thing would have connected, it could have been lights out for Harry, and which isn't a good look for anybody. Let's be clear.
But actually, I think it was okay. They shoved each other, and then somebody threw a punch. Lauren, did you like it?
I loved it. I loved it. More fights.
And Corey,
There's
speaking of,
put it on the books. There's going to be a fight at the All-Star Race. No questions asked. So everybody tune in.
We better get this podcast out quick so that people know that we
were the prophetic. We were prophetic in that. So yeah, everybody tune in. All-Star Race Wednesday night, 7:00. We're gonna try to transfer from the All-Star Race. Keep voting. Try to vote me in. I need a little bit of help. If not, I'll try to pull the gloves down and get it after and put it in the show.
Bubba is a shoo-in, isn't he?
Well, I mean, yes.
You and Denny Hamlin have been racing around each other a lot lately. What was up with Denny being all the way in the back, hanging out there in Kentucky?
They missed it a little bit, but they turned a couple wrenches and got that thing driving. I think he looked in the mirror. Like, oh, God, the 32, if he's behind me, that means I'm really bad. So he ended up finishing way better than I did. We ended up 28th, which is about where we should finish every week if nobody crashes. So we're getting yelled at. We got to wrap it up because Alexa's got to go. I've got to go do some serious. Go.
We can't wrap it up without thanking O'Reilly Auto Parts. You need to thank O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. We're close, convenient, and known for our guaranteed everyday low prices and excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better parts, better prices every day.
Well said. Well said.
Thanks.
Hey,
good stuff, guys.
We'll give you some more content next week. The juices were flowing today. I feel bad we had to cut it short, but.
No. Thanks a lot, Alexa.
I know, that's my fault.
All right. Hey, thanks, guys. Thanks for listening.